Today I present you an updated guide for the Fire PvP caster that I made some time ago. Even after some nerfs, the build is still alive and kicking due to how well it works with powered up Holy Fire. It's very nice consistent damage thanks to castable while moving Scorch and instant fire blasts that give us big upper hand as a caster archetype. We supplement the build with big holy fires that hit up to 5 targets, giving us nice AoE on top of amazing burst on focused targets that can delete people from the BG maps. Try to always line up together buffed holy fire and fire blast, as it's an insane amount of burst in short periods of time. As mentioned before, the playstyle revolves around building a stack to unleash a powerful attack, so at times it can feel a little bit slow, but once you release that holy fire, the true magic is happening. On top of that, it only requires to cut 2 spells, so we have 4 slots for CC, mobility and defensive toolkit. It's a perfect pick for people that like their enemies served extra crispy. Right boys, so when it comes down to the build, we of course want to go for the intellect and as much spell power as possible. Crit chance is always welcome, but haste as well, as we will be using Holy Fire and Scorch Earth, which are both castable, so each of the stats through the talents is pretty much welcome. When it comes down to the starter skills, we want to start it off with Arcane Intellect and Fire Blast, which both are mandatory. I like to take Fizzle and Fireball for some more initial damage while leveling, and usually when you have some time to free cast, Fireball is usually more powerful than the Scorched Earth, but yeah, you're not going to use it that much. If you really want, you can go for some kind of pet with freeze, web, like a spider or anything like that. It's always gonna give you more CC if you want to min-max. When it comes down to the skill cards, we use 2 mandatory ones, which is Scorched Earth. This is a standard Scorch, but with a modifier that is able to be cast while moving, and Holy Fire, which is basically our very powerful spender, let's say. The rest is basically free pick, whatever you want. I always take First Nova for a freeze, Screams of the Past as it's very nice CC, and Fear is just simply annoying because even if you're fighting against humans, every man for himself cannot actually work against it. So very nice. Divine Protection, if I get trained by like 2 melees or some ranged very powerful enemy, it can reduce the damage by quite a lot for 8 seconds, and of course Shimmer for more mobility. I always take Shimmer because it has 5 seconds shorter cooldown, and on top of that it also is available to use while casting, so you can reposition yourself without breaking the Scorched cast time, which is amazing. Scorch or Holy Fire, doesn't matter. When it comes down to talents, we take Flame On, which is basically one of the most mandatory things in here, because this basically allows you to buff up the Fire Blast damage thanks to casting Firebolt, Scorch or Flame Strike. Basically use it 3 times, and against players you have 45% more damage against them. Fire Blast is on cooldown, so basically every now and again you have it buffed up. Incineration increases the critical strike chance of your Fire Blast and Scorch, so 2 of your main abilities. 9% is quite a bit. Spell Impact increases the damage of the before mentioned spells, also by an additional 9%, amazing to have. Ignite, which basically gives us a dot every time we crit. Burnout for more fire damage and increased crit damage. Impact is pretty much amazing because it not only increases damage of Fire Blast by 9%, and also Meteor, which you can, of course, if you want, you can take Meteor in here. It's available from level 36 and deals pretty nice damage, but you always have to keep your enemy like frozen or something to be able to reliably use it. I just prefer to spam Scorch, but it definitely gives you more AoE. But back on the topic, Impact allows you, that's your direct damage dealing spells, have a small chance to make next Meteor, or Meteor has a 100% chance to cause your next Fire Blast to stun the target for 3 seconds. This is pretty RNG, but when it stuns the target you have like 3 damage, so why not have it? And then we go, this is like the toolkit that buffs Scorched Earth and Fire Blast, and then we go for Kindles for Holy Fire, which basically means that fire spells grant you this buff, which increases the damage of next Holy Fire by 15%. it stacks up to 5 times and lasts for 15 seconds. This lines up amazingly with Righteous Radiance, which basically, when stacked to 5, we gain it by casting fire spells, which is Fire Blast and Scorch. And then when we stack it to 5, it not only deals additional radiant damage to the main target, but also to the additional 5 nearby, and also applies a dot, which doesn't really deal that much damage, but a direct hit does. And about as long as we use Kindles for Holy Fire, this basically allows us to have that great burst window. Of course, while casting Holy Fire, we have to stand still, but it doesn't matter, we just have to do it every once and again. And like I said, we've got Shimmer just in case we need to reposition while casting and stuff like that, so it's great for that. Also, Holy Fire, it's only 1.5 second cast, so with some additional haste, it can be brought down to 1.2 or 1.3, which is pretty damn fast, if you ask me. So, like, the only change you can do is take Meteor for, like, improved stuns, and it deals pretty hefty amount of damage, if you ask me. But I don't really like to use it that much, so I just prefer to grab another CC. And along the way, as always, you just want to grab as many defensives, CCs, and heals as possible. In this playthrough, I didn't actually manage to get any healing. That could be useful, I just have Prayer of Healing, which is pretty garbo. But yeah, I got Last Stand, I got Deterrence, I also got Unleashed Fell Energy, which is pretty nice, because it adds up additional damage on top of your spells. Unfortunately, we are not actually a stationary caster. Well, this is not unfortunately, but unfortunately for this spell. We're not a stationary caster, so it's pretty useless. But yeah, very nice to have. When it comes down to talents, we just want simple things like Firepower, increases all fire damage, Alacrity, increases spell power, Thundering Strikes, every crit, talent modifier is great. Everything for Holy Fire is pretty much amazing. Like Searing Light increases damage of your Holy Fire by 12% in this case, but a maximum stacks 15%. So yeah, everything that can buff up your spell power, haste or crit is always welcome. Also range of the spells. So like I said, it's pretty straightforward to build up. Nothing really fancy in here. You just basically spam your Scorched Earth and Fire Blast. And when you get that very nice pop out on the screen, you just cast Holy Fire. If you are interested in WeakAuras, I'm using this one from Flame On, and you just trigger, you just put the name Flame On, and you put here stack count for 3, then when it's full it's going to show up. I also use this texture from Blizzard, and when it comes down to, oh my god, cancel. When it comes down to the Holy Fire, I'm using this texture, and then I go for the spell ID, which is Righteous Radiance. 270300308 is the spell ID, and then you just take stack count 5, and then you can, the WeakAura will show when it's ready to pop off. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you will enjoy this build, and I'll see you on the battlefield. Take care.